everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is the third book in A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I have a review on the first and the second book, which I will post down below, so definitely go check it out. So this was originally supposed to be the final book in the series, but she is going to be continuing on with the series. There is a nice little page at the very end of the book that says there are more tales to be told in Prythian, and that it will continue in 2018. So I am so freaking excited about that. Now, I don't know if it's going to be more of a spin-off series or if it's a continuation of the series, and but I guess we will find out next year. I am so excited. In case you can't tell, I absolutely adored this book. This review will be broken up into two parts, spoilers and non-spoilers. Of course, the non-spoilers will be at the very beginning. I'm about to dive into those right now, and then I will let you know once I start the section when I dive into spoilers. Now, I will say this, if you have not read the first two books, you will be spoiled, so I highly recommend going and reading it, checking out my reviews down below, and then coming back and discussing A Court of Wings and Ruin. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I did like A Court of Mist and Fury a little bit more, but only because it's really more of a personal preference on what you like in reading. If you're more of a plot-driven reader, then I think you may enjoy A Court of Wings and Ruin a little bit more because there's a lot more action scenes and politics and war, and it's very plot-driven, versus A Court of Mist and Fury is very character-driven. We're introduced to very important new characters. We're developing a relationship between those characters. We are still introduced to new characters in this book, of course, but it's more political characters like the High Lords, and we're learning more about the different courts in, this land. So that's kind of why I liked the second book a little bit more, just because it was more character driven. But this book was still fantastic. Feyre's character just stepped it up in this book. She had probably the most character development in the second book, just especially with her PTSD and then overcoming that. But in this book, she is so strong and she's so cunning and she is manipulative at times and she is powerful, and she's an amazing character, and I'm so glad that I was able to see Feyre as at her lowest point and how strong she is now. So basically, a quick synopsis of this story. We are now following Feyre. She is in the Spring Court because at the very end of A Court of Mist and Fury, she is taken, or she leaves with Tamlin to the Spring Court. Tamlin thinks that she has broken the mating bond between her and Riz, and he thinks that she is back at the Spring Court to be with him, but really she is there to basically fight back and I'd say get revenge on what he did to her sisters. So we follow Feyre in the court of the Spring Court, navigating her way and just being very cunning and manipulative with Tamlin, and she is the High Lady of the Night Court. So it's so good. It's so good. Her character development is just amazing. It's so good. And we also follow Lucien. We get a little bit more of his development as well in this book. We know that him and Elaine are mated, and he is willing to pretty much do anything now to find his mate, which I like. I want to see Lucien branch away from Tamlin and be his own character. Throughout the series, he's just a blind sidekick, and so we finally get to see more of him branch out in this book, which is really good. My favorite characters are still more Nesta, Cassian, and Azriel. I love, and Riz, of course. I love Feyre, and I love like the other characters, like Amryn, she's fantastic. But those 4 characters, did I say 4? 5 characters, especially Cassian, Az, and Mor. Those 3 together, they're so good. They really are the characters that outshine everybody else. With Riz, those 4 characters. I love Nesta. Nesta in this book is fantastic. She's such a badass, and I knew she was going to be after finishing A Court of Mist and Fury. Now, this wouldn't be a Sarah J. Maas book without an epic ending, which is definitely what we got. This book made me cry, and the ending, like I said, was epic. It was just enough to resolve and satisfy us enough that we have, basically we have a great resolution to this overall conflict. But there are just a few unanswered questions that just keeps you interested and wanting more with the continuation on in this series. There are still a lot of steamy romance scenes in this book, and there's a lot of violence as well. This book is the most violent just because it is dealing more with war and a lot of action scene, and is a lot more plot driven. So kind of, keep that in mind, because they are definitely more mature scenes. And I think that is pretty much it for this non-spoiler part of the review. Just one quick gush moment. Can we look at this cover and just discuss on how beautiful it is? Oh my gosh, the color of the cover and the cover itself is just, oh my gosh. And then Feyre's tattoo. Oh, it's such a epic book cover. I love it. I love it. So, okay, enough of the non-spoiler sections. If you haven't read this book, highly recommend you do, and come back and finish the rest of this video discussing all of the spoilers. Alright, so let's discuss a few of my favorite scenes. My first favorite scene is when Az and Cassian fly into the Winter Court and save Feyre from Lucien's brothers. Oh my god, I love that scene when she reveals that she's the High Lady, and Lucien is just has no words, and he just turns pale, and then Cassian just flies off with her. I loved that scene. It was so good. I love that reunion. And then of course the reunion between Riz and Feyre, where she just drops to her knees and she starts crying. I love that scene. Gosh, so many good scenes in this book. It is ridiculous. Learning getting to know all the different High Lords, because we have heard of them, we've met a few of them, but we haven't met all of them. And so this is a great way to get to learn all of them. And boy, do things take off at that meeting. It is quite intense. I love the fact that Az just totally beat up. Is it Eric? Oh my gosh, what's his name? Sorry, Eris. I love that he totally deserved it. He's such an ass. Such an ass. And his father. Oh my gosh. I don't know who I hate more, Tamlin or Baron, the High Lord of the Autumn Court. I don't know who I hate more. Same with Mor's father. Gosh, there are just some crazy villains in this story that are so good. And then I love how Feyre just explodes during the meeting, and she pretty much just bails her cover for her powers. She was trying to keep it a secret, but she completely just unleashes her powers. I actually think it was a good thing, because now all of the High Lords realize wow, she's powerful, she has the title of a High Lady, she needs to be respected, and, they need to realize, they need to get in place. Okay, discussing a little bit of the relationships, of course. I love Riz and Feyre. I love Riz and Feyre. I love how Riz treats Feyre as an equal. It is one of my favorite things about their relationship, which is why I didn't like Tamlin. Tamlin was just oppressive, and he caged her in, and Riz always says, you know, I'm not letting you do something. You can do whatever you want. Just please let me know what you're going to do. Like when she runs off to find the cereal at the end of towards the end of the book, he's like, it would have been nice for you to have left a note or just let me know you were, you know, what you were planning on doing. And she, you know, mentioned how, well, if I had told you, you wouldn't have let me go. He's like, no, you can do whatever you want. You know, I am your equal partner, but it would still be nice to know what you're up to. So I think that is such a great thing between their relationship. And then Nesta and Cassian, oh, I ship them so hard. I love Nesta and Cassian. I don't think it's actually confirmed that they are mated, so hopefully this is going to be one of those like unanswered questions that goes, you know, further on in the series. Like I think they're mated. I think we're supposed to assume that they are mated. I wonder if Nesta felt it first. Like, I'm curious. Like, that's why, like, I'd love to maybe see the, you know, continuation on of the series, maybe in Nesta's point of view or something, or to get a little bit more of her and Cassian, especially like at the very end where she yells his name, like, you know there's something going on between them two. I still don't ship Lucien and Elaine. I mentioned that in my review of A Court of Mist and Fury. I mean, it's not that I don't like Lucien, I just don't see it together. I wish that Az and Elaine had been mated, because Az is just, I think he would be so good for her. He's so strong, but he's also stoic, but he is kind and gentle. He gives her his knife. That's the knife that ends up being like the killing knife of the King of Hybern. If I'm correct, gosh, I can't remember. I can't remember that little detail. Let me know down below. I do know that when they're fighting the King of Hybern, Nesta takes Cassian's Illyrian knives, but I want to say when Elaine comes from behind and like stabs it, I think that's Az's knife. And then we also get a little reunion between the girls and their father. Like I mentioned in my review of A Court of Mist and Fury, Sarah J. Maas does such an excellent job at giving every single character purpose, and I love it. Like, their father is very weak in the first one, and then in the second one, he's like never really there, and now we find out why. It's amazing how she ties everything together. I was like shocked when he died, but you know, I was actually more shocked that an important character didn't die. I really thought that we were going to, I mean, of course, besides page 666, when Riz died, I was like, this cannot be happening. Thank you, Sarah J. Maas, for only letting us endure that for like 2 pages. Because he's read, you know, he comes back to life, I think, like literally 2 pages later. So we only had to like feel our heartbreaks for just 2 pages. But it was still really, really, really intense. But I was kind of shocked that more people didn't, you know, that I thought maybe like Amryn would have died. Like I thought maybe she would have sacrificed herself, or she like, you know, she kind of did. She like unbound herself to the body that she was in. And I really didn't think she was going to come back, but she ends up coming back. Elaine and Nesta end up, you know, surviving as well. Hybern ends up dying. Tamlin, who ends up coming around. I still don't like him, but we understand his character a little bit more. He realizes the mistakes he's made, and he's, you know, trying to come around, but he's just an asshole. That's just in his nature. So pretty much the only person that really dies that's like, you know, we feel sadness for is their father. Oh, and the cereal. Oh, I forgot that scene. Oh my gosh, I forgot that scene. That scene made me tear up as well. And then the scene where Riz gives his like speech pretty much before they go into battle, the speech before he thinks that they'll never see each other again. It's so moving and so powerful, and it definitely made me cry as well. It was, oh my gosh. This book was so good, so good. I loved that Lucien is actually not the son of the Lord of the Autumn Court. I love that. What a surprise. I did not see that coming, and I really liked it. So I have a feeling, once again, that's going to play a role in the remaining of the series, you know, the continuation of the series. Oh, more being gay. I like it. Like, it doesn't, I mean, yes, I loved As and More Together, but the more I was reading the series and the more I saw like Az and Elaine together, the more I thought Az and More were like brother-sister. That's why I really don't ship Lucien and Elaine. It sucks because I feel like the only way for Elaine and Az to get together is if Lucien dies. But I don't really necessarily want that to happen because I like Elaine and I don't know what would happen if her mate dies. Like, she can still feel the bond. Like, there are, you know, there's a point in the book where he like tugs at the bond and she feels it. So I don't know how that would happen. Maybe we're just gonna get introduced to new characters that we're gonna fall in love with. And then the very, very last scene of this book just made me melt. They are flying over Valeris. It is such a great and satisfying ending. I'm really, really excited to see where the story is going to go and what we're going to get in 2018. I know that Sarah J. Maas is not going to just disappoint and we're going to get, you know, another epic book. Anyways, so I really hope you enjoyed this review of A Court of Wings and Ruin. Comment down below and let me know some of your favorite scenes and what you love. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye!